on.
Okay, go ahead, Michelle.
For the family of James Wallen, this is Lucinda Wallen, his wife, 52 years Monday. This is Brett Wallen, my husband, who was Jim's son. I'm Michelle Wallen. I am his daughter-in-law and the mother of his grandchild, Brandon Wallen, the only granddaughter or grandchild.
Do you want to go ahead and make your statement and then?
Okay. It's hard to put it into little words and small sentences, but Jim was the happiest person ever and probably the most cynical person at the same time. Everything was always the best ever. Even if something best ever came the next day, it was always the best ever. He was an amazing grandfather and an amazing husband and an amazing father who did things like coach Little League and water slides with me, went down water slides with Rainey and became so interested in where Brent and I met at Gardner Webb. And he was a big Gardner Webb sports fan, and just you would have thought that was his alma mater, but just loved it. And so hard to make it in a nutshell because I married into this family, but I never felt like I wasn't part of it, and Jim was part of that. They bought a house next to us part of the year and helped me take care of Rainey. Jim drove up there by himself one time to help me do that. That's what kind of man Jim was. Caring, loving, and amazing to his family. And this is very tragic for us. And we're not sure what happens next.
He's very active in his church. He loved God. And he volunteered. We did Meals on Wheels. He worked at the Sharing Center for a while. After I got through retired, he worked at the Sharing Center. So he was definitely an asset to the community. And everybody knew him.
He was the greatest dad you could ever want. I can't believe that he's gone. And I wore this shirt actually, as my wife said. He did treat Gardner Webb as though it was all mine. I will miss terribly going to football games and baseball games with him at Gardner Webb, and those will be memories that I always cherish. And I will miss those. I will miss those things terribly. And I know it'll be a long time before I can even adjust to the idea that he's gone.
There's no reason for it. No
You
reason.
never did something like this is going to happen to you, ever. You always see the crime shows and the movies and, the TV shows and everything like that. You're like, oh, that will never happen to me. Never be my family. You feel bad, but it's a kind of classic glance. And you never really see the family behind it. And I think now that we are the family behind it, it's a totally different situation for us. And just remember that anything can happen to you. Anything can happen to your family when you least expect it.
So cherishing one.
Yes.
We want to tell his story. We want the focus to be on him and his life, not so much how he died, because he was an amazing person in the world. It's not the same without him, and especially for us, but I think the community here in Cocoa also, and that we just wanted to be so focused on him, and I don't know if we could ever convey how wonderful he actually was and how much he meant to us. But he was taken from us by somebody, and that's, they chose to take his life from us.
What would you say Jim's impact on this community has been?
Well, he taught school for 37 years. He taught English, and he taught for many years the profoundly disabled. I mean, he was changing diapers on 14-year-olds. I mean, because they were that disabled. He also taught well, it was BCC at the time. He taught economics at night over there. He taught adult ed, helping kids get their diplomas. So, you know, and they served on the city council for, 2 terms. He was vice mayor for a while. So he's definitely, plus the volunteering and activity in the church, so he's definitely an asset to this community. And loved by many people. But like they say, he was a very upbeat, positive out of life. He just thought everything was the best. Like she said, if we went to Melbourne, he'd say, well, that was the best trip ever. Or we could have gone to China or Italy. I mean, he traveled the world, but he'd have been just as happy going to Melbourne. And they said, right.
That's one thing I'll typically for him is his love of life. And he always told me, and he always showed me, and we loved with a lot of the music. Really so hard. He'd always, we'd always talk about, and he really wanted to read the same book. Particularly talk about how the message was. I remember specifically Jimmy Buffett, and how Jimmy Buffett always was, and he always emphasized that philosophy, just how life is a wonderful thing, and it's just a wonderful thing. And again, like I said, I just cannot believe that someone.
I know you want to focus to be on your father, and I think that's what it should be. But when I think about this, and I know the detective said that this was random, can you make sense of this? Do you think you ever will?
No, and I think honestly, my daughter and I read a lot of philosophy, and I think that one of the things that I've come to accept about this is there are so many things in life that you just, and I think that trying to make sense of it will only enhance this. I think will only make it worse. We talked about stuff like this before, and we kind of have to accept that it's random, and if there is an explanation, it's completely beyond our comprehension.
I think with random accidents like this, it could have been anybody else. It could have been any other family. And I think, especially for me, I'm pretty sure for the rest of them, he was older. And so if he had died of a heart attack or something like that, it would have been sad. It would have been very sad. But we would not have to be doing an interview with you. And the thing is, like, I think it would have been a more acceptable way to die. We could have accepted it better. We could have, like I said, it would have been tragic, but we could have dealt with it a lot better. And now it's, there's all these different factors that play into it. And the guy that did this, care.
How do you guys feel Cocoa Police's handle the investigation and
They indulged in so much the way we could not have asked for any more. They did amazing things. Can't describe the job. They've done not just on the case, but in terms of and they went so far beyond that. They embraced us, and they showed genuine concern for us, and they really showed that they knew my dad. That they cared about him as a victim. He's not just another case file. Words cannot convey how happy we've been with what they did.
There's not really words to say how wonderful they have been and how quickly they got this taken care of. But
They're hard work too.
yeah,
I ran really quickly, which is good instead of us wondering for years.
yeah, but they're still out there, and it's given relief to our neighbors. And those are the yeah.
I know this person is in capacity that you're referring to federal programs. I know you said earlier you don't know what's going to happen. What do you hope happens?
I will leave that up to the legal process that unfolds, which of that is you know, please there continue for that's all.
I don't think he should have been out. I'm not sure why he was still allowed in society because he had broken his probation, the federal probation. And to me, he had such a long record. He didn't need to be out this either.
Does anybody online have any questions? Huh?
Put it in the chat.
If you have questions for online, please send them through the chat feature. Mrs. Wallen, can I ask you, I know you were married 52 years Monday. How many years are you in this house too? Has this been your home?
We moved here in January 73. Yeah. I grew up a teacher.
When you came
Yeah, see, years ago, when we moved into this house, so it's really the only house he's ever known. But it's never had any problem with his neighborhood. There's just somebody rifling through the collars, but never anything like this. My neighbors have been wonderful. Yeah. Been here for us. Everybody's been wonderful. And everybody's been wonderful.
teaching 37 years. Again, I think about saying, do you think that your husband cuts community?
He did through all that and his volunteer work and that. And I taught also for 37 years in Brevard County, and so a lot of people, I know a lot of people too.
I know you.
Yeah. Impacted a lot of people.
I don't know if they have any questions online yet, but I do want to ask you because he was so well known. You know, I don't know if they have any plans for memorial one community, if you know yet.
We don't know right now with this COVID situation, and churches are not willing, and so it's difficult and easier to have the COVID situation going on.
I guess the outpouring from the community is a lot of people, politicians, neighbors, former students, all come forward. That just shows the kind of life that you have been led.
Yes, I've gotten calls from, our U.S. Senator, Bill Posey, but they were friends, and Rich Grotti in Orlando, and people from all over, politicians and friends. I go out of the room and I'll come back and there's 8 texts on my phone calls. So from all over, from upstate New York, his word gets out. From upstate New York to California, I got texts and stuff yesterday from friends in California as word spreads.
Well, it's horrible as this crime is. It's actually restored my faith in humanity. The outreach community has been unbelievable. Here in Florida, and in North Carolina, where we live, many of our friends who had met my father, just embraced us and came to our aid. So, like I said, in the midst of this horror, there is still that, that one big, very big redeeming fact of the community has just been an incredible help to us.
Now I live in Shelby part of the year, but he made a big impact there too. At the friends for hours. It's a bird. Everywhere again.
Lots of emails and texts and phone calls from friends that he made in North Carolina.
People see, you probably see all these pictures that are behind you and around the room. Tell us a little bit about, why you want to talk to us right here and what we're looking at all around. You told us off camera, but I want to make sure that they know too.
Well, we were blessed that we've traveled the world I mean, you've been on every continent, including Antarctica, and, you know, so we've been all over the world. And there's pictures too here. We had 7 exchange students that each lived with us for a year. The picture took here. They come back. They still call him Dad, and you know they come back. We've been to Japan and Brazil with a Brazilian son. So yeah, and, a lot of young men all over the world.
Like she said, I'm sure every trip that they took was the best one ever. You know?
And I think with the other pictures that you probably can't see out here, there's nothing but travel and then prominently family pictures of Rainey, of Brett and I, Lucinda, and it tells what was important to him. It wasn't stuff. It was us, and it was his family. You know, you can tell what was important to him, and that was it.
Channel 6 has a question. What will you miss most about him?
Everything.
Yes, just being there, just being there.
His
Presence.
his laughter. He like Ryan laughed like nobody else. Silly granddaddy, they she called him granny. Silly granddaddy things that they did between them.
Yeah, it's presence and being there for us. And
But missing her graduation, she's a senior this year.
They were moving to get married.
Or go to college. That's the future that we'll miss with him. Because you don't know that after college essays, where she was in the process, and excited he was for that process, and that's gone.
you know, it's always upbeat and positive.
Yeah, no, I'm all this, like I said, all this, that's the movie to listen to. Even when I found that kid died, I told Michelle that there was music I've been listening to, and I thought, oh, I'd love to share this with my dad. I'd like the song. I'd love to hear to see what he thought about this. Yeah, things like that are still, you know, he still seems very, very close. In a way, he seems just right over there on the, you know, not even spiritually, but he doesn't seem far gone. But I know it's very hard for me to wrap my mind around it, and especially in this way. It makes it worse.
Like she said, it's so you can accept a heart attack or an illness, or at least with an illness, you got time to adjust, maybe. But this just murder, the last thing you ever expect is to have somebody you know and love murdered in cold blood on a Friday afternoon in their own home. You just never even think about that. I'd like to say I hope it never happens to anybody else, but it will. Probably. But hopefully not from this person.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Morning question. That just spell his name right there. Spell your name for me.
LUCI.
Bradford, 2 T's.
Yeah, Bradford.
And Michelle, 12.
Yeah.
Oh, see?
Yes, she's very